Hello, world. It's your breast cancer survivor friend D, and I am dropping in with your threefold 3.3. This is the nugget of truth that God spoke to me as I read Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. Well, the one thing that I want to mention as we start Ephesians chapter 2 is that I want you to think of the concept of the past, the present, and the future, because there's going to be a lot of jumping from those three states. Speaking of which, now these verses 1 to 3, Paul is talking specifically about the past. He is explaining to us or to the church at Ephesus how we were, how they were, how each and every person who has ever lived except for Christ was, because of the nature of sin, that we were dead in our disobedience because of how we obeyed our sinful nature, how sin had us consumed because of this devil that he speaks about in verse 2, where he has us almost enslaved to our sinful nature. And Paul is explaining how all of us without Christ are lost and undone. So he sheds this light so that we understand that each and every one of us has sinned, and that we must come to terms with the existence of this sinful nature. Because unless you accept that this is where you were, you will never truly appreciate what Jesus did for you. The reality is, there was a separation because of this sinful nature. And each one of us has had to experience that separation from God, because that's what sin does. God is holy, and this disobedience it's unacceptable, right? God wants us to obey. He wants us to be righteous, and without that, we are separated. We have had to live separate from Him. And so this is what Paul is trying to explain, that your past looked dirty. Your past had you separated from God. But you have to stay tuned to hear that things didn't stay this way, right? Things did not stay this way. But in order, unless you accept your flaws, you can never fully appreciate your recovery. And that's what I want to leave you with. But remember, there's more to come. There's more to come. But for now, that's it. That is the threefold 3.3 for Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. Remember, there is power in the Trinity.